Better call Sal. Better call literal cream, you bitch. Let's complete the look. It's so hot. My letters are falling off. They did not iron on well to whatever material this is made out of. Hello, internet friends, and welcome back to my channel. It's Literal Cream, you bitch. Here with the story time for you all today. I hope the noise of my fan doesn't bother you. Why do I have a fan? Because it's like 90 degrees out. And I don't have air conditioning in my house. You'd think I would, because that's a normal thing to have, is it not? But do I? Nope. Nope. Welcome to my life, because oh, it's just a waste of money and you'll never use it. Okay, Father, are you enjoying your air conditioner? Living out of state? In the house you bought for your girlfriend? I'm just kidding, you guys. My parents don't have a failed sleep never bed. Okay. So this is going to be a story time of a time I was harassed at a music festival. No, it was not Coachella, you guys. It was just one night, like a bunch of bands came and played like a local DIY underground. It was so cool. Basically in one room you have like 2 stages set up and that was it, and then you had an upstairs with a lounge and a bar and billiards tables. I was there with my friend, Lord Jesus, and I got tired and wanted to just go upstairs and lounge in the lounge. I was lucky that there's a Dunkin' Donuts next door and they had Wi-Fi so I could browse Reddit on my phone because, you know, I only had 2 gigabytes of data. So I was just very clearly sitting by myself. Here's a photo. It was taken later, but that's the setup. I was just on this couch when I hear this man and his friend come upstairs. Now they both look to be in their 30s. Now my back was turned to them, mind you, but he just comes up and starts talking to me. Just straight off the bat, talking to me about how he's going to some club. He's talking about the club, going to the club afterwards. He's there with his friend. His friend is going to go set up the billiards, and then he extends his hand to me. Like, I am very happy to shake someone's hand for having a conversation, introducing myself to you, trying to make an acquaintance. But so many times when I am very clearly just minding my own business, a man, it's always been a man, just tries to force their introduction on you. I don't know if there's a proper term for it. You know, it isn't harassment to just introduce yourself to someone, but it's very clearly unwanted. And I don't want to touch you. You're a stranger. I don't want to touch you. I really don't like touching strangers. But I do when it's nice and polite and it's, you know, we're making friends. But I don't want to just shake every random stranger's hand that comes up to me. And it's like, if you don't shake their hand, you're clearly an unfriendly bitch because you didn't accept their invitation. Mind you, that invitation was completely unwarranted. I didn't want to meet you. I'm minding my own business. But anyways, this guy extends his hand to me and I really just don't want to touch you. I don't want to interact with you. No. So I look at him and I say, oh, no thank you. And he's kind of like, no thank you? Sorry, why don't you want to shake my hand? He asked me that. And I was just like, oh, sorry, I'm a germaphobe. And he's like, oh, you know, his demeanor just completely changes. He looks so upset, like, you don't want to shake my hand. And he's like, oh, you're just a germaphobe. Okay. Well, I am too. I'm actually a microbiologist, blah, 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 because he never stops talking. And then his friend says to him, you nerds, I'm gonna go set up the billiards table and let you two keep chatting. And he goes off to go set up his pool game while this man decides to sit down on the table in front of me, rambling on about how he's also a germaphobe, he's a microbiologist, and that when I come back to his apartment, he'll make sure to wash his hands and he'll make sure that I wash my hands for at least a minute before we touch each other. And I'm just sitting there like, what the fuck? And mind you, this man, I was wearing these pants, well, he clearly acknowledges that I'm a germaphobe, and while he proceeds to tell me how we'll both wash our hands for at least a minute before touching each other, proceeds to touch my leg! Proceeds to touch my leg! Excuse me, sir! Go fuck yourself. So he keeps talking about this club, keeps talking. I don't even know what about. I was just so tired. Ugh. And he takes out his phone. And I know exactly what's going to happen. I know exactly what's going to happen. He's going to ask for my number. I don't want to give it to you. No, I don't have no interest in you whatsoever. And takes out his phone and tries to hand it to me. And he says, put your number in. And I go, no thank you. Polite rejection number 1. And he goes, why don't you want to give me your number? And I say, oh, I'm sorry, I just don't want to touch your phone because germs. Polite rejection number 2, because he's making me give him a reason. And he's like, oh, well, why don't you just tell me your number then, and I'll put it in my phone. And I go, no, thank you, I don't want to give you my number. Polite rejection number 3, because he keeps pushing me for an answer, and he goes, why don't you want to give me your number? You must have a boyfriend. And I looked this 30-something-year-old man dead in the eyes and said to him, no, I don't have a boyfriend, I'm just not attracted to you. I will never use the excuse that I have a boyfriend when rejecting someone I'm not interested in them. Because all that does is say to you that I'm sorry I don't want to suck your dick. It's because I'm already sucking someone else's. No, I want you to know that I am not going home with you because I simply do not want to. I am not into you, and you should respect that. This man should have just accepted the fact right off the bat when I said, no thank you, I don't want to give you my number. But he kept pushing me for an answer, so finally I told him dead on, I'm just not attracted to you. And this is where it all changed. His nice facade showed me his true colors, and he looks at me, this 30-something-year-old man, and said, I actually wasn't attracted to you, I was just being nice, you're too skinny for me. This 30-something-year-old man can't handle rejection, so he goes, you're too skinny for me, I was just being nice. And I responded with, I'm not too skinny, I'm naturally perfect, and then I started laughing. And while I'm laughing, this 30-something-year-old man is still trying to tell me that I'm too skinny, that he's just being nice, and continues to talk at me while I'm laughing. I was laughing because I found this so funny. So many times on the internet you see screenshots where some girl or myself gets a message from a dude and they're like, hey beautiful, wanna fuck? And you're like, oh no thank you. And then they're like, oh fuck you, you ugly whore, I wasn't actually interested in you, you dumb bitch. And you see that on the internet. I've had experiences with that, and it's just so funny. I can't help but laugh. And to have this happen in real life, I thought it was hilarious. I had never experienced that. Truthfully, to have some grown-ass man that can't handle rejection. I thought it was so fucking funny, and I'm trying to explain to this dude why I find it so funny, and he keeps talking to me. He keeps telling me that I'm like too skinny for him. No bitch, I'm naturally perfect, okay? And I just start saying, do not interrupt me. He continues to talk. I go, do not interrupt me, do not interrupt me, do not interrupt me, until he finally shuts up and lets me explain to him why I found it so funny. And I said to him, you know, this is really funny. I've seen this happen on the internet, but to actually have it in real life where someone gets rejected and they just give you a rebuttal of, oh, you're such an ugly bitch, I'm not interested. And he's like, well, actually, you aren't too skinny, blah, 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 blah. And he keeps insulting me. I just had enough of it. So I stood up, I was wearing heels, I'm looming over this motherfucker, and I just start pointing at him and yelling at the top of my lungs in front of this bar, and everybody's looking at me, and I'm just like, oh my god. I just start yelling at him. I'm like, I want everyone in this bar to know exactly what you said, exactly what you did, that you're harassing me, and that you need to leave and get the fuck out. I politely rejected you, and you said that I was too skinny for you because I rejected you, and you won't leave, so you need to get the fuck out. Shut up, stop talking, get out. And I kept yelling at this man, this grown-ass adult man, until he finally got up with his friend, and they walked out the door. And I sat down and I was like shaking. I was really scared that I was gonna cry, and I wasn't gonna cry because of what this man was saying to me. I was just, everyone turned to look at me and I didn't want any attention. I was just up there tired, trying to mind my own business. I didn't want the whole world to... Ugh. But I actually ended up going downstairs later and I saw him going out the door. So, felt pretty proud of myself. I'm not gonna sit there and take it when someone is just harassing me. Totally uncalled for. It makes me very angry every time I read or hear about someone getting harassed and they're too afraid to speak up. I've read a lot of posts about women on the train, and they say a man grabbed my ass, and I just felt so embarrassed and shocked, and I didn't say anything. And it breaks my heart. It truly does. It makes me feel so angry that these women feel like they can't say anything. You know, I say women because those are the majority of the stories I've read. If you are of another gender, of a man, and you get harassed, please say something about it. If a woman grabs your ass at a bar, yell at her. That's inappropriate. That's unwarranted. I think about a year before this happened, I was waiting in line and this man grabbed my ass. Now at first, I wasn't sure if he did because it was a very compact line. It was very crowded. So I gave this person the benefit of the doubt, like maybe he just bumped into me. Like I could clearly feel a hand, like a cupped hand on my behind, but I wasn't sure. And I didn't want to start a scene. I didn't want to do anything. And so as we're standing in line, I'm watching this grown-ass man. Now he was even older. He was probably like 50s, 60s. I'm watching him. He is watching me out of the corner of his eye. Every time I take a step to the left, so does he to the right. He follows me. He's watching me. And at this point, I know that it was intentional. I'm 100% sure. And I watch him walk into me. And he goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to bump into you." I'm just like, "Oh, it's okay." But I watched this man walk into me and then claim it was an accident. So I knew he had grabbed my ass. I knew he did that on purpose. You know, he just wants to go home and think to himself, yeah, I touched some ass. And you know, he probably does it all the time and gets away with it. We were actually going to leave. It was so crowded and we weren't going to get into the venue. And so as we were heading back to the car, I said to Lord Jesus, I'm like, I'm going to go say something to that man. And I was wearing high heels and there was snow on the ground, and I marched through the snow back up to this man and I looked him dead in the eyes and I said, "I know you grabbed my ass and I think you're a sick fuck." And he was like, "What? I didn't grab your ass, I just bumped into you." And then his family starts yelling at me and I'm like, "I know exactly what you did and you're a sick fuck." And you know, they're trying to berate me, but I walked away at that point. I felt good about it. Even though he denied it, which suspected him to, I didn't let him get away with it. And deep down, he knows exactly what he did, and he knows that I knew and called him out on it. If anything comes out of it, I can only hope it will discourage him from doing that in the future. I'm sure he has done it before and probably would do it again, and I can only hope that maybe that discouraged him from getting called out, because I guarantee you, if he's with his wife and kids again and that happens and someone calls him out, she's gonna think twice. Maybe she already thinks twice about him. But who knows? And anyway, at that point, I just kind of made a vow that I'm not gonna take that shit. If someone's harassing me, I'm gonna stick up for myself, because it just breaks my heart every time I read about some girl on the train and gets sexually harassed and is too afraid to speak up. My friend was actually talking to me. She had gotten sexually harassed by a dude, and she is afraid to confront him because she's afraid of him denying it. And that's a really valid concern. And I told her that story about the the guy in line, and you know, he did deny it, but deep down I knew what he did and he knows what he did and he knows that I know, and he didn't get away with it. You know, he can keep denying it, he can go home to his family and be like, "Oh, what a crazy bitch we ran into in line," but he knows, because I guarantee you that's not the first time he has pulled that shit. I'm not gonna sit there and take it, and I hope none of y'all do either. If someone is harassing you, sexual, or just trying to berate you, please stick up for yourself and say something. Actually, funny story from just a couple nights ago. I was at a show and we walked outside of the venue for a bit, and there were some very drunk townies out there hanging around, and one of them was talking to me for a little bit. I gave him my Instagram. He's like, "Do you have a phone number?" I'm like, "No, I really don't like giving out my phone number to people. Just like, don't call me. I don't pick up." And I'm like, "Well, you can follow me on Instagram." So I typed my Instagram in my phone, and he's like, "Okay, cool, thanks." And then as I'm walking back inside, he goes, "Hey, by the way, you got a nice ass." And I was not upset that he said this. I really found it funny, because this guy was like so drunk and just out of his mind. But I turned around and I said, "Excuse me?" And his friends were like, dude, you shouldn't have said that, you shouldn't have said that, that's inappropriate, that's not how you compliment a lady. And I walked up to this guy and I was like, that's very inappropriate. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, yeah, you should not compliment a woman on her body. If you want to compliment her on her outfit, on her wits, but not about her physical appearance. It's just objectifies her and it's not appropriate. And he's like, yeah, like, I'm sorry. I took his phone back because he still had it open. I'm like, you can unfollow me. And I unfollowed myself. And he's like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. Can you put your Instagram back in? I'm like, no, I'm good. And I walked back inside. I really found this funny. You know, normally if someone just on the street is like, you got a nice ass, I'll yell at them and be like, oh, fuck you, kill yourself. But I found it funny because this guy was so drunk and out of his mind, and I gave him a very polite lecture on why he should not objectify women, who's also some soldier, veteran, I don't know, which I found ironic that you're risking your life to protect a country whose citizens you don't respect. Okay, sir. Okay, but that just happened the other night. I thought that was a funny piece to add in. That was my story time of getting harassed at a music festival. It's a show. I really encourage anyone that experiences something like that to speak up about it. I know it's scary. It's really terrifying. Believe me, I was so scared and everyone's eyes just turned and looked at me. But there's been a lot of times where I've been harassed and I haven't said anything, and I go home and I just feel shitty. I'm like, I wish I called him out. I wish I said something. This is what I would have done. And I don't have those feelings when I do stick up for myself. And I just encourage anyone else out there to do the same, girl or boy or in between. This is a message from Literal Cream. And I think that was all I wanted to say. Hope you enjoyed that. Maybe you learned from it. I don't know. But it's really hot today. Nice talking to you all. I'll see you in my next video. Okay, bye.